Music Show. On the Music Show, we will cover many aspects of music, types of instruments, and how you and your child can become involved in music. I'm your host, Jeremy Matthews. On today's show, we will talk to Noble Middle School band director Patty Knopf about the band. She will tell us a little about the makeup of a band, the instruments involved, and participating in a band. We will also take an in-depth look at a popular band instrument, the trumpet. And finally, we will see a performance from the Noble Middle School Band.
Did you know that hundreds of youth in the Cape Fear area are serving our community and learning about the justice system at the same time? They are doing so through an exciting program called Teen Court. Teen Court is a program where youth sentence their peers for minor delinquent acts and problem behaviors such as larceny and assault. Crime affects us all, and Cape Fear Teen Court is actively involved in helping our community solve this problem. To find out more, call the Community Mediation Center at 362-8000 or visit us on the web.
Hey, you! Yeah, you. Are you the weakest link at your bus stop? Because you don't know the bus stop safety rules. When riding on the bus, stay in your seats. Don't stick anything out the windows. Listen to the bus driver. Follow his or her directions. Talk quietly with your friends. Don't throw things in the bus. Safety and the big yellow bus keeps everyone safe and sound.
Where did the dinosaurs go? Why does the moon change shape? Why do dogs turn around before they lie down? Kids are full of questions. The library is the very best place to start finding answers with books, magazines, and videos to help satisfy their curiosity. By bringing your children to the library often, you can give them a resource that will help them make well-informed decisions throughout their lives. Start the learning adventure today. Visit your school library or any branch of the New Hanover County Library.
Welcome back to the Music Show. We have with us Patty Knopf, who's the director of the bands at Noble Middle School. Thank you for joining us, Patty.
Thank you, Jeremy.
First, I'd like to ask, how did you decide to become a teacher, a band teacher?
Well, I actually made that decision back when I was in 7th grade. I just thought it would be the coolest thing to be able to hang out in the band room all day and, just make music. And as a 7th grader, if I could have done that, that would have been my choice instead of going to all my other classes. So I decided I want to be a band director.
So did you major in music education in college?
I went to East Carolina University and majored in music education, played trumpet, and I went back and finished up my master's this past summer.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
We're going to talk about the band today with Miss Patty Knopf. And the first thing I wanted to ask is, what are the instruments that are in the band, and how many of each instrument do we have in the band?
Well, the band consists mainly of 3 sections. There's the woodwind family, which has the flutes, the clarinets, sometimes the bass clarinet, alto saxophone. In the older grades, you branch off into tenor sax and baritone sax. And sometimes there are even more exotic instruments in the woodwind family, such as oboe and bassoon, and those are double reeds. Then there's the brass family, and that's going to be your trumpets, French horn, trombone, baritone, tuba. And then there's the percussion family, which encompasses many instruments: snare drum, bass drum, xylophone, orchestra bells, and what we call the toys or auxiliary instruments like the crash cymbals and the triangle, things like that.
Okay.
And you want to have a good balance. You don't want to have 20 flutes in a band and only 2 trumpets and a saxophone. Mm-hmm. You want to have the instruments that are going to sound higher, you want fewer of those, and then it's going to be like a pyramid where you branch off, and the bottom is your foundation of the band, where you've got the low winds. You've got the tuba and the rest of the low brass family, maybe the oboe, not the oboe, the bassoon, one of the lower sounding instruments, baritone and tenor saxophones. Mm-hmm. Those are the deeper voices. and then you want to work your way up to having fewer midsection voices, second and third trumpet, some of the clarinets, saxophones, and then higher up are going to be your top voices, flutes, and maybe first trumpet part, first clarinet part.
Okay. As a conductor, what is your job? Because some people probably wonder, what does the conductor do?
Well, I honestly thought until college that all the conductor did was stand up there and wave their arms around, and didn't really have an understanding of what the role was. But the conductor serves many purposes. One is, for the beginners especially, to maintain a steady tempo. That conductor is going to be up there showing where the downbeat is and each beat after that. So for every movement the arms make, it means something. You've got your cutoff, you've got your breath, you've got your entrance. And then as the students become more adept at playing their instruments, the conductor can stop being a beat maker and start showing phrases and crescendos and decrescendos and things like that.
So when the players become more experienced, the director or the band conductor can help the students be more musical in their playing. Okay,
Right.
Thank you. Now, what is required if some of our listeners or television watchers are wondering about joining the band? What is required to become a member of the band in school?
Well, band usually starts in the 6th grade. Mainly all that is required is a good attitude, a love for music, and discipline. Students will have their own instruments to play, and they have books to play out of. And honestly, all they have to do is show up and give their best shot, and they have to work on it outside of class. It's not something that just happens during the school day.
So to reiterate what you said, the students need to practice outside of class.
Yes.
Besides just in the classroom to become better.
They will get a lot more out of it, and if there's something that gives a student trouble, if they don't get it in class but they spend a few minutes at home, or maybe they come after school or before school to practice, they can spend those extra few minutes and they can get it. It's actually a lot like playing a sport. You know, you may not get, you know, that free throw or whatever it is you're working on, but you keep trying, and eventually it happens, and then you get to a point where you can't do it wrong. So practicing outside of the class is very important.
So practice can make perfect.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Now, explain to the audience the chair placement that takes place in some bands. First chair, second chair. What is the reasoning for that?
Okay. Well, some bands do involve first chair placement, second chair placement, and what that basically means is that you're going to have your best player in first chair, your next best player in second chair, all the way down, but that means somebody has to be last chair. I don't do chair placement in my bands. What I try to do is take my strongest players and spread them out. Sometimes you've got multiple parts within a section. You might have trumpets playing 2 or 3 different parts, first trumpet, second trumpet, third trumpet. And instead of having all of the strongest players playing first part, those second and third voices are very important, and they need to be supportive of the first part. So I like to take my strongest players, spread them out through all 3 parts, or all, you know, the 2 parts, whichever we're playing, and then the players that aren't as strong, put them on the same part, so they've got someone to listen to that they can follow along with and become stronger themselves.
Okay, thank you. That explains a lot. Now, if you've played in band for a few years, when you graduate from high school, you might consider pursuing a career playing your instrument. Could you share with us what are some possibilities of a career as a musician, of someone who plays an instrument? Absolutely.
Well, there are several degree options. One is the most prevalent, and that is music education. You see the teachers that are out in schools every day. They might be the elementary general music teachers. They will be the chorus teachers, the band teachers, orchestra, what have you. Those are the education majors, and they have to take their major instrument and really hone that skill. But in addition to their major instrument, they have to have a minor instrument, and they have to learn all of the other instruments.
Okay.
As an instrumentalist and a wind player, I also had to learn percussion. I had to learn how to play the stringed instruments, and I had to learn singing. And so that is all of the education.
Okay.
You could be a performance major where you might see bands on TV. You might see bands that travel around the country and play gigs, and they get paid pretty well sometimes. But those are the performance majors, and their specialty is getting out in front of an audience, and they are going to perform for many different venues. Maybe a concert hall where it's a classical setting, or could be a rock concert.
Okay.
Lots of different things. And then there's the therapy route, where you may work in a school or a hospital setting and use music as a way to help people that have special needs or different levels of ability, help draw them out and get them active through music.
Okay.
So those are 3 different career paths.
Well, I'd like to thank you for sharing your knowledge with us, and we will be right back after this short message. Thank you for joining in the Music Show.
Court fees, $2,200. Fines, $4,000. Yearly insurance increase, $2,660. Traffic school, $425. Alternate transportation, $250. Staying sober, priceless.
Welcome back to the Music Show. My name is Jeremy Matthews. We are now going to take a closer look at the trumpet. The trumpet is a brass wind musical instrument, part cylindrical, part conical bore, in the shape of a flattened loop, and it has 3 piston valves to regulate the pitch. Its origin is ancient, with records of a type of simple valveless trumpet found in China from as early as 2000 BC. It is mentioned in the Bible and in Greek and Roman history. The trumpet attained its present shape early in the 15th century, at which time it became an important ceremonial instrument. The trumpet was used in the military to rhythmically sound signals to the troops until the year 1607, when it was first used in an orchestral setting in Claudio Monteverdi's opera Orfeo. Through much of the Renaissance and Baroque periods, a lot of time was spent experimenting both in the playing styles of the trumpet as well as the instrument-making aspect. Through new innovation and technology, the trumpet's 3 valves were invented in 1815. These valves made it possible to play chromatically without having to lip the notes or having to hand stop the bell of the trumpet. Today, the trumpet is one of the world's most popular instruments and is used in a variety of musical settings. Joining me now, once again, is Patty Knopf, Noble Middle School band teacher. Hello, Patty.
Hi, Jeremy.
First, I would like for you, if you do not mind, to show us the range of the trumpet from the lowest note up to the highest notes of the trumpet.
Okay. Well, the trumpet has a fairly broad range. Some of the lower notes and that low F sharp is as low as a trumpet can play. And I'm just going to play up chromatically.
Okay.
So as you can hear, it goes fairly high.
Certainly does. So what would you say the range of a trumpet is octave-wise?
It'll range about 2.5 to 3 octaves. Of anything above the highest C that was just played is really not used very often.
Okay. Now, apparently trumpets come in different colors. A lot of them we see are made out of brass, but is this made of a different type of brass or another material?
No, this is just a silver lacquer.
Okay.
For some reason, some trumpets are, brass looking in color. They're more of a yellow. And you'll find the more intermediate and professional models are often silver, but it's just a silver coating on top.
Oh, okay.
Underneath, they're all pretty much the same.
Okay. Now, could you briefly tell us about some of the different types of trumpets?
Well, in a band situation, you're generally going to have a B-flat trumpet, which has the longer body, and the bell doesn't protrude very far from that. In orchestral settings, you'll have trumpets in different keys. There is a C trumpet where this crook right here will actually end right about here. So it has the appearance of a longer bell, but it's really a shorter body.
Okay.
And then there's also D and E flat trumpets. And again, the crook right here can be taken out to adjust the key.
Okay, thank you. All right, now, we have different levels. When you first begin playing in the band, you're a beginner, and then I assume after you've played a while and practiced, you become better, and then years down the line, you may be considered a professional. Could you tell us how a student of an instrument like the trumpet would know when they're ready to move up from their beginning trumpet to a more intermediate or advanced, a better quality instrument?
Okay. Well, it really depends on the individual student. Every student really wants to start out with a beginner style instrument. They are made to be more durable. They can withstand the abuse that often comes with, beginning instrumentalists. Students will drop their instruments. They may not mean to, but they'll drop it. They may, pop the mouthpiece. They may do different things. And the beginner instruments are more durable, but the sound quality is not as high as an intermediate or professional model. Some students are ready to move up to a more advanced model instrument as early as 7th grade after they've only been playing a year or two, and others may not be ready until high school. I started out on a cornet that my family got at a garage sale ages ago, and I played that my first year. And when my sister graduated from high school, I got her intermediate trumpet, and that was what she had as a senior. And it wasn't until I was a senior in high school that I got my professional model trumpet. So it really all depends on a lot of factors, the individual student being ready for it and the financial commitment from the family.
Okay, thank you. Now, could you tell us, the audience, about a few famous trumpet performers? I know of a couple, say, for example, Louis Armstrong. Who are some other trumpeters that are very famous or well-known, or maybe some of your influences as a trumpet player?
Well, a lot of the more well-known trumpet players are jazz musicians. Like you said, there's Louis Armstrong, there's Dizzy Gillespie, and he was well known for puffing his cheeks, which is a big no-no. I always tell my students, you can't puff your cheeks unless you're Dizzy Gillespie. And since they're not, they don't get to puff their cheeks, but he would puff his cheeks out very wide. And he had a trumpet that was dropped, and the bell of the trumpet actually stuck up. And so it would go up at an angle. And he was well known for playing that trumpet, but he was a phenomenal player. There's also Miles Davis, who was very well known. He was a jazz musician. And more recently is Wynton Marsalis. And he's an excellent, not only jazz musician, but classical trumpeter as well.
His whole family is musical.
Very much so.
Yes. Now, could you tell us of a couple songs that the audience might know that are well known as being trumpet songs? Maybe military songs. I could think of a couple like Taps or Reveille, or there's some other songs that we might hear at a wedding or an occasion where we would hear a trumpet.
Well, you might hear trumpet, like you said, playing Reveille. People getting up in the morning, and it's always the trumpeter that has to go out and play the morning Reveille. You may hear trumpet at a wedding playing trumpet voluntary, a whole range of songs for different occasions. You might hear trumpets playing in church, Easter, Christmas, any special occasions, and like you said, taps. And that's best known at a funeral.
Now, is the trumpet the highest sounding brass instrument in the band?
Yes and no. It's in competition for that title with the French horn. The French horn has a much broader range. They can hit notes that are lower, and they also compete with the upper range of the trumpet.
So if we compared the trumpet to a voice, like in the choir, would we compare it to a soprano or a mezzo-soprano, which is between alto and soprano? Okay.
Exactly.
All right. Well, would you like to share with us a piece of music for the audience?
Well, this is one of the easiest songs.
Okay.
It doesn't require any movement with the fingers, but it requires movement with the lips or the embouchure.
Okay.
And you'll recognize it.
Thank you, Patty, for such a wonderful performance. Next, we'll visit Noble Middle School and see a performance of the Liberty March by Patty's 7th grade band. Stay tuned.
Want your kids to eat good food? Send them to the school cafeteria. They'll find fresh fruit, vegetables, and whole grains.
Research shows that school lunches are healthier and cost less than most lunches brought from home.
School meals are served in age-appropriate portion sizes and meet federal nutrition standards as well.
Sure, we still serve pizza with low-fat cheese, whole wheat crust, and salad. Want your kids to eat good food? Send them to their school cafeteria.
A message from the Child Nutrition Foundation.
It's really quite simple. The more advanced math you take, the better your chances at a better career. With courses like algebra, trigonometry, geometry, and calculus, you'll choose from a wider range of more interesting jobs. If no one has explained how the power of math can improve your future, demand that you be told. Call NACME. They'll tell you. Or check them out at mathispower.org. Problem solved.
Did you know that hundreds of youth in the Cape Fear area are serving our community and learning about the justice system at the same time? They are doing so through an exciting program called Teen Court. Teen Court is a program where youth sentence their peers for minor delinquent acts and problem behaviors such as larceny and assault. Crime affects us all, and Cape Fear Teen Court is actively involved in helping our community solve this problem. To find out more, call the Community Mediation Center at 362-8000 or visit us on the web.
You just heard a performance by the Noble Middle School Band of Liberty March. I'd like to thank Miss Patty Knopf for visiting us today and sharing her knowledge about the band and the trumpet. And if you'd like to know more about music and New Hanover County Schools, please visit the website of New Hanover County Schools and the Arts Education Department. My name is Jeremy Matthews. I'd like to thank you for visiting us today on The Music Show. Please stay tuned for our next episode, coming soon.